Welcome to Mindfulness with Marcia. One of the ranchers asked me, and it's been quite a while, why or what this gong was that hangs on the screen behind me. And, I shared that I had gotten it as a gift by a friend. And I have students here, oftentimes at different times use it for different mindfulness things. And I used it when I was teaching horticulture. But I hadn't used it for Mindfulness with Marcia at all because I had my other little chime. But, I have several different instruments that could be used. And I don't know why I don't use them. I guess I just didn't. And, you get into a habit. And so for him, I'm using my gong today to begin and end Mindfulness with Marcia. So I know he will. I know that he'll be watching and hopefully he'll be tickled by me using that. In recent days, we've been inundated with the word and all associations of the word color. So I'm going to take, I don't know if I want to call it a 180-degree flip or what you'd actually call it, but I want to look mindfully at all colors of the spectrum and in a brain-based manner with mindful living. So first, allow me to quickly share once again in Mindfulness with Marcia a moment that I'll never forget my first year at the ranch. And it involved the use of color with an elementary student here in Minot by a therapist in the school. You see, this young guy was always having difficulty with anger control, not just in school when he was asked to do his math or something he didn't like to do, but also in the cottage and in the lunch line and different times. So I was really interested to just listen in as this therapist worked with this young man to try to help him use different regulation skills while he was experiencing anger in school. And she actually asked him to describe his feeling in the moment, his anger in the moment, by using a color. And without even like a blink of an eye, he very loudly replied, "Orange, okay? I feel orange." And he could describe, in fact, when she asked why he said orange. I was just astonished by this young guy's ability to describe an emotion that he was experiencing in his body, this anger. And so he had body awareness and he was using cognitive ability because he was associating that psychologically with a color that meant something to him as far as his feeling of anger and the color orange. And so later on, I was pausing, and reflecting on my day, and I realized just how astonishing this was, because here I was, an older adult. I couldn't have done it. And I'm just being vulnerable with you. And I have in other Mindfulness with Marcia's, I've had issues and I'm working on it and still working on it about body awareness and how much the body plays into who we are, and not just being a walking brain that's propped on top of this, whatever, I call it the meat suit or whatever, that just kind of carries around the real me, which is in my brain, and realizing that no, the real me is a combination of many things, but it definitely involves the body. So this was just really amazing to me. And at that time, as well as after hearing the word color so much lately, I just, started thinking about what the brain knows and what we can use color for mindfully. When we walk into a room and we see an object, science tells us that the first thing that registers is the color rather than the details. The colors that our eyes can perceive are almost like words that form this subtle language of mood, energy, and insight. And I think that when you think about what we've been dealing with lately in this country, you could see where a color of skin could actually do this, could cause some of these thoughts that are already in our brain associated with skin color. because the actual perception of color is almost in nanoseconds. Our amazing brain is really present in that moment to recognize color and acknowledge in a moment some feelings and sensations associated with color. Color can exert a really gentle effect on the mind and body. It influences our dispositions daily or moment by moment. And we know from science and the medical community that it can influence our physical health. It has the ability to trigger our emotions. It can affect the way we think, the way we act, and it can influence our attitudes. You know, you unconsciously respond to color of the walls in your home or at your workplace. The reason you pick the color of your car, your clothing that you wear. And I found it fascinating that actually the food we eat can be based on a body's natural reaction, because some of that was for survival. Some things are good to eat, some things not so good to eat, you know, might be rotten or poison. So we react to certain colors, and there's psychological associations that we have formed around them. Now, some of these associations can be biased, not just in color of skin, but can be biased in all kinds of colors. So then colors that you encounter throughout your day, well, they can make you feel happy or sad. They can invigorate you or drain your vitality. And it's found that they can even affect your work habits. And I think that you'll agree with me with some of these colors, that there's evidence that us as humans, we respond to color in very visceral ways. Red excites us or inflames our passions, but too much red sure can make us feel overstimulated and irritated. Pink? Well, pink tends to make people feel loved and protected, while yellow represents joy and optimism, and it can energize us and help us to think more clearly. Bright orange. You remember the young man used orange. It can reduce our depression, our sadness about a moment. Blue and green are known to inspire peaceful feelings, and people are often able to concentrate better in rooms that are painted in soft blues and greens. But the darker tones, you know, it's not just, because right now when I say blue and green, I'm not sure what blue or green you're thinking about, because darker tones of blue and green can make you feel serious and introspective compared to the soft blues and greens that has more to do with peacefulness and concentration. So there's actually, you know, a range of any one color depending upon its hue or tone. Now, there are ways that we integrate color into our life, but there are also some real ways that go beyond just picking the hues of our decor or our wardrobe. And so I want to just share a couple of those for your pause this week on how you can integrate color. First, you can pause and reflect with color by just concentrating on those psychological connections or attachments you have to colors. What colors make you feel peaceful? What colors make you feel more energized? Or use a progression of colors that I'll explain in just one moment with the breathing exercises, and how I use the color purple to symbolize a descent into a more relaxed state, but it could also be an ascent into a more energized state. Number 2, pause and use color while you're paying attention to your mindful breathing. Remember, our kids use breathing in some of their therapy, and it's used in a formal practice of meditation. It's really good because you don't need to have a lot of time. It can be 2 or 3 breaths that can really make a difference when you use breathing. Now, how do you do breathing and visualization of color? Well, you visualize color. You can actually visualize, you know, the air coming out being a certain color. I tend to do that. I see color coming out when I exhale, and color coming in. Now, I mentioned that I use purple for descent when I'm trying to relax. I would inhale and exhale at the beginning of my breathing activity with really bright, vivid, crazy purple, the craziest purple. And as I inhale and exhale, that color that I use of my breath that's coming out and then dissipating, or coming from the far reaches of my room and coming into my body. As I inhale and exhale through the process, and depending upon how many colors I visualize or how long I'm going to be using that breathing technique, the colors descend in hue or tone. My art people are going to be angry with me, but in other words, I start with this bright kind of dark purple, and I end with a really light, almost not there, very pale lavender color when I've descended and relaxed. So you pick your color if you're trying to relax or you want to invigorate. What color would you use? And could you use it in a descending and ascending manner as you pay attention to your breath? And finally, an easy one would be just to pause and choose to surround yourself with colors. Perhaps you've never really thought of color, that you can surround your work area, you can surround your life in the colors that you pick in your decor. You can surround yourself with the colors that you pick to wear. I remember my first apartment, it was so cool to have earth tones. That was like almost all you could find even when you bought things. I mean, God forbid you would want to get a pink rug. I mean, you surrounded yourself with things that were culturally acceptable. That was the cool thing to have. And when I'm in nature, earth tones are really appealing, especially in North Dakota when you have a lot of season of sort of that straw, weedy, browns and grays when we don't have green. But I didn't really like them in my house. I mean, it wasn't like it made me feel good. And I thought, well, I get to pick the colors. Why was I using these earth tones? Why? And again, sometimes it's because that's all you can find. Thank goodness now when you go out, there's a lot more assortment, and you can find, even linens and bath towels and all kinds of colors. But surround yourself. And if you're not going to run out today and probably go shopping, but if you could change a few things just at your desk or in a spot, maybe it's the blanket that you use to cuddle up in your favorite chair. Just being aware of the colors that are around you or surround you or that you like to wear, and why. Why are those colors so appealing to you? Just be reflective and pause on that. While I get my gong up here, pick one or all three of those pauses. Again, there's no rules, there's no right or wrong, to try just to be more mindful of color in a different way this coming week. And of course, until next time, please stay safe and be well.